Welcome to The Deciding Point. Our Cracked Racquets weekly breakdown of the biggest storylines going on throughout the tennis world. Was a busy week on both the ATP and WTA Tour. We had 3 highlight events on the men's side, 2 on the women's side, and of course another action-packed week ahead of us. Joining me to break down all of the action, as he so often does, is our Cracked Racquets do everything forefather of the forehand slice, Jamie McDonald. But with that in mind, let's get to this week's episode of The Deciding Point. All right, Jamie, it's time for our deciding point, and as much as we abhor the cliches here at Cracked Racquets, we are well aware anytime one of Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, or Serena Williams takes the court, it's the story all of us in the tennis world are monitoring most closely. And for all of us tennis fans, we had the return of a 39-year-old Roger Federer in Doha this past week. Federer able to grind out a 3-set win in his first match against Dan Evans before dropping a 3-set match to eventual title winner Nicolas Basilashvili. Now, we'll talk about all the other stuff in podcasts to come that came out of Doha, but let's focus on Roger Federer here on the deciding point. He hasn't played in a year, Jamie, yet he plays 2 3-set matches here. Unfortunately, such a wear on his body that he pulls out of this week's Dubai event. Nevertheless, the deciding point has to be this. What did you think about Roger Federer's return?
Yeah, look, he looked pretty solid. Dan Evans is somebody who's been really, really good over the last 12-plus months. And so to get a win over him, regardless of who you are, your stature, your physical state, is somewhat impressive. And Dan Evans didn't play a bad match either. Now, I think Federer obviously saw a lot of Dan Evans because they've been hitting together quite a bit. So I'm sure that adds a little wrinkle in the dynamic. But no, in terms of competing and being able to win points, Federer looked pretty good. I think in that Basilashvili match, you could kind of tell Federer was not quite there physically. He basically tanked the second set to try and have a shot at the third. And he did have a shot at the third. Realistically, he could have won this match. So obviously disappointing to see him go out in that fashion. And then, as you mentioned, have to pull out of the next event. But no, Federer looks fine. And I think he's just saving himself for the big tournaments. He's not been shy about that being his plan at this point. So I think everything's kind of going along with expectations at this point.
Yeah, he's been very clear. It's all about Wimbledon. That's what he has circled. And if you're a Fed fan, you look at this week as absolutely a sign of progress. That he played 2 3-set matches. That was the goal. Play 2 physical affairs, see how the body holds up, see how you recover moving forward. Now, to your point, anytime he got stretched into the outer thirds, you saw a guy who hadn't played a professional tennis match in over a year, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is you didn't see a 39-year-old who hasn't played a professional tennis match in a year. It just looked like a guy who hasn't played a professional tennis match in a year. But there were still moments when in the outer thirds he'd hit the incredible on-the-run the forehand still looks great. The backhand, particularly the backhand return, it feels like his struggles were amplified this past week. But of course, again, not only is he returning after a year, he's 39 years old. And I think my concern is he does look a little bit more susceptible to just being overpowered than he would have the past 2 or 3 seasons. And again, some of that's just a lack of match play right now. Some of that's the fact that he does continue to get older with every passing day. But when he has time to set his feet, when his first serve is landing, he's still Roger freaking Federer. And for him to be showing this sort of level at 39 years old, it's just sensational.